What is man's struggle before death?
We all become sick or die, but what's our struggle?
We become weak.
We become weak.
Fear.
Here, we yesterday, Sister Rebecca gave me the answer what I really want to hear. She said, "Want to live more, longer, even one more day, one more month. When we become sick and think death is near, or we have a desire, I want to live more. I don't want to die." That's our honest desire in us. So we know we are going to die, but still, one more month, one more week, one more year. We don't want to die, and we do all our effort to extend our living.
But have we some the grateful to go to Heavenly Father dimension?
Yeah. So, but eventually, we surrender ourselves to death. That's our reality. Knowing that, let's move to question 2.
How many times did Jesus rise in the dead to life? Raise the dead to life. Mark 5:22-43.
Okay. Here, Gospel Mark, Jesus raised Jairus' daughter. She was dead. Jairus' daughter. Jesus raised her. Second resurrection in Gospel Luke.
The widow's
Son. Widow's son. This was on the way to funeral. This one servant came to Jesus. Your daughter is dead, told to Jairus. Why bother the teacher? Your daughter is dead. So here she died. And then I don't know how long it took. Servant arrived to give the news. And then from there, Jesus totally ignored and then went there, raised her. So from her death, how many hours do you think she died? Maybe a few hours. This one, the son died and it was funeral process, So maybe even though it's the same day, the Jews buried the dead on the same day. So maybe several hours after death. So today, resurrection of Lazarus, Gospel John. Resurrection of Lazarus, how many days he was, in the tomb? 4 days. 4 days. And then, finally, Jesus, through himself, resurrected him. He was in the tomb for 3 days. And then he was raised. So, some people say, oh, they didn't die. They just passed out and then few hours and they said like that. But this one is no excuse because he was buried for 4 days. So altogether, the resurrection Jesus showed 4 times. Question 2, second question.
How did Jesus show these resurrections, including his own resurrection? To taste about resurrection powers of Jesus.
God has a solution to our death. We just try not to die, but eventually we die. But God has a solution to our death. Resurrection, then eternal life. So many people think death is the end. It is not. Jesus showed that death is not the end. After death, there is resurrection and there is eternal life. And then Jesus showed through this. Okay, question 3.
When Jesus arrived in Bethany, how many days had the dead body of Lazarus had been buried?
Yeah. Okay. It's been in the tomb for 4 days. And then can you do the second question also?
What was the condition of the dead body like days in the tomb?
Yeah. Have you seen a dead body?
I said
Huh?
three times. I saw
Funeral.
Yeah.
Funeral. When they open the casket.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh, more.
I mean, nowadays in the funeral home, they purify the face, so put a makeup on, and so it looks beautiful, But when I was young, they didn't. We just kept it at home for 3 days, and then third day we took the body out, buried. But even third day, smell, it is just like it's like a smell of vinegar, but it is dead smell. It's terrible on the third day. And then face, the muscle, color is like a dark bluish, and it's turned.
Like a feel no warm. It's
Uh-huh.
cold.
Yeah,
condition.
cold, and it turned like a rock. I pushed the body, and it was like a rock.
I didn't touch it, but I saw.
Touch it's a rock, and then it's like you see sometimes in the street, animal ran over by the car, or bird die in the street. The body is dead and then rotten, that kind of condition. All the organs dead. Okay, question 4.
So who came to comfort Martha and Mary? 19. And many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brothers. So many Jews came.
So, where did they come from?
The village. Yeah.
From Jerusalem, because Bethany is about 2 miles away from Jerusalem, and then 2 miles is like from my home to your apartment, yeah, maybe like that. uh, that distance. So it's a walking distance, pretty close. And then the Jews came from Jerusalem to comfort Martha and Mary. This family lost their parents, I don't know, and then two sisters and one brother helping each other, and now they lost their brother. So it is really tragedy. And then people from Jerusalem came to comfort them. Question 5.
And the news of Jesus coming, how did Martha and Mary respond? When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Yeah. Their action is different.
Yeah, their action is different. Martha heard Jesus was coming. She hurried ran out to meet Jesus. But Mary didn't move. She stayed at home. It shows their personality. Both of them really, they feel sorry because Jesus didn't come. They were maybe really hurt. They really believed Jesus would come and heal their brother, but Jesus didn't come. So to Martha, what can I say? It's okay. He didn't come and brother died, but Mary was holding bitterness in her heart, and she didn't go out to meet Jesus. Okay, second question.
What did Martha complain to Jesus? Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And Jesus was coming late.
Yeah, why you didn't come? Had you been here, my brother would not have died, and complain. And then, what did she say to Jesus? Verse 22.
But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. She expected something through the Jesus.
Yeah. Even though Jesus didn't come and brother died, still Martha expressed, I believe in you, my faith in you, still strong. And then even now you can do something because God will listen to you. Okay. Question 6.
What did Jesus say to Martha? From verse 23, your brother will rise again. And what or why what did Jesus meant by this? He will rise again.
Right. Jesus came to raise Lazarus. So, your brother will rise again. That means your brother is dead for days, but he will come back to life. For that purpose, Jesus came here. I came here to raise your brother. That's what Jesus. Your brother will rise again. Third question.
What did Martha believe about resurrection? She said, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day.
Okay. What does it mean? What did the Martha mean by that?
Everyone will rise again in the end.
Martha thought
Uh-huh.
It's, her brother is already rotten
Yeah.
with a so bad smell. So the kind of condition will not rise again. After Jesus coming again, and then the dead body will rise again.
I know, Martha said, he will rise again. In the
Future.
resurrection at the last day. Okay. Sister Hoya mentioned what I want to hear. She said, I know he will rise again. In the resurrection at the last day, when Jesus comes back. Okay. Which one did Martha say?
I think already the Martha heard Jairus' daughter, and then who's this? Widow's son was raised again, but his brother already inside the tomb. So maybe she thought already time is too much late.
So when Jesus said, your brother will rise again. So Martha said, I know. He will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. So Sister Hoyan added, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day when Jesus comes back. So which one did did Martha say?
I think she has a resurrection face.
Uh-huh.
So Jesus met the sister and brother, and then Jesus taught them about the resurrection. So she can understand in the future, not now.
Martha said this one, not this one. This one we added, but Martha, she didn't say this one. She didn't say this one. Martha said this one. So next question. Martha said, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. So question 6, the fourth question. Who else believe about resurrection like Martha?
Probably the disciples.
Right, probably disciples. Now at that time, the spiritual leaders of Israel, they divide in two groups. Pharisees, one group, Sadducees. Okay. How they have a different? They believe. Yeah.
Pharisees believe that there's a resurrection.
Right. Pharisees believe the resurrection, and Sadducees,
they don't believe at all.
They didn't believe there is no resurrection. Death is the end. And so all we have on earth, this life, that's all. So this is, they are mostly a lot of priests. priest and very successful scholars, priest, you know. And Pharisees say, no, there is a resurrection. So what the resurrection teach is when people die, their soul goes to heaven. Their soul goes to heaven. And then Messiah will come. Christ will come. And then build Messianic kingdom. Messianic kingdom. And then when Messiah comes to build the Messianic kingdom, the enemies will be punished. And the Jews will be, what?
Saved.
Huh?
Saved.
Saved, and then they blessed, and then, you know, prosperous. And then here comes resurrection. Resurrection comes of a body of all Jews. All Jews. This is Jewish resurrection. Jewish resurrection. 8. This one is based on Isaiah chapter 26, verse 19, body resurrection. And then Daniel 12:2. At the end, the righteous will shine like, you know, stars, and the wicked will put to shame. Sister Hyunja's favorite keywords. Okay, so based on this Old Testament, they have this during Jesus' time. Until now, they continue believing.
So Messiah kingdom on this earth or heaven?
This earth.
This earth.
Uh-huh. And then, this is what Mary said. I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. At the last day, his brother Lazarus will be raised. This is what Martha said was, this is the resurrection of the Jews.
You're the soul to heaven and the body is
You got it.
You got it.
So soul came to the down with
Uh-huh.
Soul and body.
Yeah, this is not perfect. This is not perfect theory. So, you know, once you became a soul in heaven, why you have to come down to the earth? But this is they taught. So what Martha confessed was resurrection knowledge of the Jews. It's not resurrection knowledge of Jesus. It's the Jews. They still, you know, teach and believe like this. But until now, Messiah didn't come. Messiah didn't come until now because they rejected Jesus. And then also, they cannot explain resurrection of a body of all Jews. They cannot explain how it comes because nobody ever resurrected. Because they disregard all Jesus' resurrection. So then, you know, they ask a question, how the dead body come back to, you know, life? They cannot explain. Because they have no example. No, besides Jesus, no one came back and showed the resurrection.
According to the today the Bible studies, even though they saw the Lazarus dead body was alive, they didn't believe
No.
the resurrection.
Many believed, but some didn't believe, even though they were there. Okay. So, what Martha confessed to Jesus was her resurrection knowledge as the Jewish idea about resurrection, Jewish teaching about death and resurrection. This is the eschatology. The end of. Okay, we will move to question 7.
What did Jesus say to Martha?
Yeah, can you read it?
Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?
Okay, this is very important verse. While I was driving to airport today, I memorized this verse. And then let's read it together, all together, verse 25. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Okay, so let's think about, I am the resurrection and the life. What does Jesus mean by that?
Do believe in me?
I am the resurrection. Jesus said, I am. And the life. Martha, according to Martha, or according to Jewish resurrection, theory, is still far away. It's still far away. At the last day. At the last day.
At the last day of the earth?
Yeah,
or like
this
that?
world.
Yeah.
At the last day of this world. And then will be raised. So it is a story far away, right? And then from that time on, 2,000 years passed. Still they are waiting for Messiah to come, and then waiting for the last day. But Jesus said, I am the resurrection. I'm here. Jesus, who is standing in front of Martha, he is the resurrection. Resurrection is right here. I am the resurrection and the life. This is, so Martha is thinking about the end of this world. And then we don't know when it will be. 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 years later on. We don't know. But Jesus said, no. I am the resurrection and the life. I'm standing here right now. I am the resurrection. The resurrection has come into this world, and I am in front of you. Jesus is the resurrection. Himself. How is it different? resurrection, and the life. I was meditating on this. It's the same word. In life in Jesus, when life in Jesus gives us resurrection. So this is the same word, but I didn't put a question on that. What does it mean? He who believes in me will live even though he dies. He who believes in me
Means the
will live.
Jesus mean about the live is eternal living.
Yeah.
Our body buried on the ground, but our soul live forever with Jesus Christ
Yeah.
at the resurrection.
This one? Or are you talking about this one? This one?
I think it's
Okay. He who believes in me. So all the believers, right, will live even though he dies. So this is Lazarus. Lazarus believed in Jesus. He died. Jesus said, we live even though he dies. So this is also us. We don't know when Jesus will come back, but we believe in Jesus. We die sometime. But Jesus said, even though we die, we will live. You got it? Okay, if you don't understand, you can
it
raise.
means like Nazareth.
Uh-huh.
The right now, even though we die,
Yeah.
we will
Live.
rise again.
Right.
Like Nazareth.
Uh-huh. So
And then present resurrection. A little bit.
So we live including soul and body together at here, right? Not just the soul. Even though
okay,
his body dies-
let's not divide the soul and body. Then it will become really complicated.
Just focus on the Nazareth case.
Again, people raise again with the total body soul together. And original people.
Here, Jesus trying to say death and life. Death and life.
So death and life is not disconnected. Death and life is connected. Jesus means.
So this one, Jesus say, we have life, and then death come, but we will live. This one Jesus said. We live. While we live, we believe in Jesus. We die. Even though we die, we will live. We'll live. So life, death, after that, life. Because resurrection, Jesus. So that when we die, we know I will rise again. I will rise again. Okay, let me ask you a question. After I die, will I rise again?
Yes.
Yes, I will live again. How about you? After you die, will you rise again? Yeah. Even though he dies, he will live. How about you, Shepherd Isaac Yun? After you die, you will rise again?
Yes.
Yes.
Amen.
How about you?
I think.
After you die, you will rise again? That's what Jesus said.
in my knowledge still now, I will rise again. But I thought for higher will be contained in some place or some space, and then last day will raise together. We resolved in some space.
That's the.
I
It comes from Catholic.
this
Catholic, and then really after this was happening, I cannot tell. I don't know.
How about,
So living.
I just I don't know exactly, but I think the before death we live with our body, but it's a death. Our body condition is no more useful, and then after death life is eternal life. It's in the Bible we have spiritual body.
So
But not physical
some
body.
testimony says when they went to the Heavenly Father's place at the time, they saw already dead people at there. So already concept.
So I cannot tell things after death.
Just
I
testimony,
cannot tell.
some testimony.
So because I have not gone there, but some part of the Bible say we go immediately, or some say when Jesus comes back, then we all rise. So I really cannot discuss about it, but all I can say is we will come back to life, and then I'll put those matters in God's hand, whether God keep, because in the Bible you say when people die, the beggar Lazarus went to heaven, the rich man was in the hell. And then some part of the Bible said that when Jesus comes back, we will all resurrected from death. And I have really no knowledge about explain to you that timing or difference. But that's not important. What is important is believe. Believe. We don't believe, we don't have light. Believe in Jesus. That's the important. Okay. See. What does it mean? Whoever lives and believes in me. What kind of people are they?
They are Christians. Believe in Jesus.
Yeah. They believe in Jesus. So whoever believes in me will never die, never die. What does it mean? These people, when Jesus comes back, how many people do you think on earth, in this world, living there? So suppose Jesus comes back today. Whoever believes and lives. Okay, this is the people when Jesus comes back, the people who are still living, alive. So those believes in Jesus will never die. Because they don't have to die. This physical body will change to resurrected body. So they don't have to go through death. So then this is, they have a life and no death, and just go to life. They skip death. Understand this one? Yeah. Because what's important is here, whoever. Earlier, the Jews, their resurrection is resurrection of body of all Jews. They don't mention about other Gentiles. And here Jesus said, whoever. This is all people, all the world. Whoever believes in Jesus have this resurrection and life.
The Enoch and Elijah, they did not die in the
Right. Elijah and Enoch. That they have no death and then live. Okay. D. Question 7D. Do you believe this? What does it mean? Do you believe this?
Here is this that Jesus mentioned about the resurrection, different with the Jewish teaching. So
Yeah, so it's different. This is new. Jesus said, I am resurrection. You don't have to wait until the end of this world. This is totally new about resurrection. And then, do you believe this? So, believe in Jesus, live forever. You have to believe what Jesus says. I don't know whether this will explain more clearly. Okay, the Jews have their resurrection theory, okay? And so soul, messianic kingdom, and then resurrection of body. That's what they teach and believe. But Jesus is here. I am the resurrection. This resurrection, what they were teaching, is here in front of them. Jesus brought resurrection power and he displays. This is the resurrection. I am the resurrection. So he showed the resurrection by raising the dead. He showed the resurrection. You know, the uranium, this is the metal they make the atomic bomb, uranium. And this metal changed human history. So, you know, this one, many scientists study about this one. And then, you know, some of them exposed, they died, but still continue study, and it's very, very expensive, and they make bombs. So they study. Suppose as a keep stone, this is uranium. Then these scientists, scholars, don't acknowledge it. This is just a piece of metal. Even though they have all this book knowledge, actual piece of uranium, they see it, they don't acknowledge it. Then what happens? Their knowledge is separated from reality. If they study through the book all their life about uranium, and then the real uranium, the ore, they don't acknowledge, they see it, they don't know, then it is really, all this knowledge is not related to reality. This is the same. They've been teaching and believing their resurrection based on the scriptures. And the resurrection is here, in front of them. In front of them is here. So Jesus said, believe. Do you believe this? By believing it, they can see, they can grasp this resurrection. They taught, based on Isaiah chapter 27, Revelation, whatever, not Revelation, Daniel, they taught all this theory. But what they were teaching is in front of them by raising the Lazarus. So Jesus said, do you believe this? Okay, question E.
How could Jesus try to teach Martha about resurrection? Resurrection is not only at the end of the present day. Now, can believe Jesus Christ.
Jesus tried to teach Martha, it's not the end of this world. Today, in Jesus, the resurrection is right in front of her. Today, in Jesus. So, Apostle Paul, resurrection is present tense. He who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. Apostle Paul, resurrection is present tense.
I think just wanting the demo death, I know. The person who visited Jesus the nighttime. Nicodemus. At that time, Jesus said, we need to first born again spiritually. Then the resurrection is contain the same meaning.
It's different.
Spiritual.
That was the Nicodemus. Jesus mentioned about spiritual rebirth, spiritual birth, physical birth, and spiritual birth.
Because before born again spiritually, but mostly people status in like the dying spiritual person. I can explain like this. But the Jesus mentioned about that you have to born again, and then you can see the kingdom of God. So I think this resurrection, Jesus mentioned about the resurrection.
It's different topic.
Different topic.
It's different topic. That is physically alive person need spiritual birth to see spiritual world. And then this one is we deal with
death and spiritually.
Right. Spiritual birth. And today we are talking about resurrection of the dead. So it's totally different topic. Okay, we go to question F.
How did Martha answer to Jesus? Jesus' teaching. Did she understand Jesus' teaching? She answered, "Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who was to come into the world."
Did she understand Jesus' teaching?
Yes, she did.
Had she understood, her answer should be, I believe that you are the resurrection and the life, and I will never die, or she would answer like that. But she answered,
The Son of God.
you are the Christ, the Son of God, who was to come into the world. I mean, it's correct. Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God. It is correct, but really not really pointing out, uh, answer. So Martha, she didn't really understand, but still she had shown her strong faith in Jesus.
Really,
Uh-huh.
Christ,
Right.
resurrection,
Uh-huh.
to the resurrection.
Yeah. Okay, let's move to question 8.
Question 8. Why didn't Jesus enter the house of Martha and Mary, but met them outside? 28, verse 30. After she had said this, she went back and called his sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. Um, Sorry. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him.
Okay,
Jesus
so
didn't enter.
here is Mary Martha's home, and Jesus had not entered here with his disciples. Maybe Jesus sent word that he's coming. So Martha went out, met Jesus here. After she had one-to-one Bible study with Jesus about resurrection, and then she went home, and then told Mary, teacher is here and he's asking for you. So, in our translation, NIV, Martha put Mary aside and told. A Greek translation, Martha secretly, some translations say privately. But Martha secretly told Mary that teacher is there. So ended up Martha and Mary learn about resurrection from Jesus. They had Jewish resurrection theory, right? But Jesus teaching them Jesus resurrection. So why Jesus didn't go their home and then taught to them in here?
Because in 19th century, many Jews are there to give some condolences. So he cannot focus on Martha, Maria, and then it can be some argument. So
Right.
Jesus made some invitement.
Right, exactly. Jesus coming here to raise Lazarus. But Jews are here. The Jews are here. And then in chapter 10, the Jews from Jerusalem try to kill Jesus. They try to stone Jesus. So if they were there, and then it's, they tried to arrest Jesus when something happens, and then he came here to raise Lazarus for the glory of God, but it may be hindered and then interrupted. So even though Jesus knows he's going to, but when Jesus do the work of God, he prepare in all the environment, make sure everything will go well. So he just come in, I want to raise Lazarus, and the Jews confront him. He may just distracted, or they may arrest him or like that. So make sure. So he met two sisters outside. He doesn't, we have to do God's work like this. Okay, God is always with me, and then I'm doing God's work, and then just walk in. No, always
Be wise.
be wise. We have to be wise. See how Jesus is so careful and wise. All right.
Um,
Who followed Mary anyway?
Jews followed. 31.
Mm-hmm.
When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there.
Yeah.
Jews followed.
So then, anyway, the Jews followed Mary, so that they came. Okay, question 9. Why did Mary weep?
Because she lost brother.
Yeah. What did Mary say to Jesus?
She said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
Right. She also complained, and then she started to cry. So she cried because of her brother's death. I mean, they didn't have a father and mother, and now brother is gone, and she's just really crying. Okay, second question.
Why did the Jews weep? Because they know the brother and sister, and then when they saw the Maria and Martha's weeping, they feel same, so sorry, and then sad.
When you go somebody's funeral, do you cry?
Yeah, I cry.
끝났다. 이분 머더를 평가를 주시대.
Yeah, man, don't cry.
When
Sometimes we cry.
His brother 뭐지?
and in my country, the countryside, like a funeral parade. The many relatives, families really cried, but even though many people stand the little far, they cry because they feel about so sad and so sorry. Think about the dead person who like them.
늘 컨트롤을
Yeah.
So sad.
So the Jews cried to comfort Mary, right? To Mary. So why did Jesus cry? Jesus wept. Verse 33.
When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had comforted along with her were also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled.
So why did Jesus weep? We know Mary wept. We know the Jews weep? And why did Jesus weep?
Yeah, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled.
Yeah.
Then different reason.
Right. I write it down, Greek translation. Jesus groaned in his spirit and troubled. And then verse 38, Jesus groaned in himself. So what kind of cry, weeping is Jesus weeping? This one,
Like angry.
right,
Really
right,
angry.
right. This is frustrated, angry, indignant, or speechless. Okay. And the Mary weep, the Jews weep is a different word. This is a Greek word. Kleus sen son. This is loud crying, lamentation, you know, that kind of crying. Jesus' cry was 에다 그 로센. Jesus is this cry is silent tears. This is silent tears.
Greek.
Greek.
No.
This is 에다크 로센.
It's Greek.
Silent tears, deeper. This is lamentation, loud crying. Jesus.
Sadness.
Huh?
That's sadness upon it. Lamentation is sadness.
Lamentation is loud crying,
Loud wailing.
wailing. I said, they're crying. And this one is silent tears, only tears drop quietly. So, have you, we all know lamentation, loud cries. So, have you cried silent tears?
When I see movie.
No, you're not moving yourself. Yourself, silent tears. When do you cry? You cannot talk. You only tears drop. When do you cry like that?
When my football team loses.
No, it's
Silent.
not many times in my life, and several times. I cannot speak something.
Right.
My heart is so
You cannot
burdened,
express.
but just tear comes out.
Right.
I cannot express
So
it
heavy
in
burden.
Right.
And sadness.
Cannot say, cannot talk.
Right. So you cannot communicate. You cannot express.
Yeah,
And
they
then-
feel so burdened. Something.
So
not
only the
comfortable.
tears drop.
Yeah.
That kind of cries Jesus wept, right? So what, like when you look at the passage, Mary was crying. If you have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. And then all Jews follow her. Whoa, 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 whoa. And then when Jesus watched, he was troubled. He was groaned in his spirit and troubled, frustrated. Because Jesus is the resurrection and the life. When you believe, you will have a resurrection. But they are not listening.
They just overwhelmed by the
Right.
power of death.
Right.
They control the power
Uh-huh.
of death.
Uh-huh.
Their mind all overwhelmed by the darkness. And
Right.
the
They are
sadness.
under the power of death. They are under the shadow and power of death. Totally, their heart were ruled and conquered by power of death. And Jesus is the resurrection and the life. Just he is right there in front of them, and they are not believing. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even if he dies. Whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? But, it didn't go through Mary's mind. She was just under the power of death. When you go to family who has death or funeral, it's just they are under the power of death. It's so sad and just crying. So now is it clear what kind of Jesus' heart was and why he wept? It's different weeping, different cries. Question 10.
Why did Martha object Jesus' order to remove the stone from the entrance? Because it's been like 4 days.
Okay,
Well,
Jesus now move on to raise dead Lazarus. And then Jesus said, in front of the tomb, remove the stone. So here is the tomb, and then there is the stone here. So Jesus said, remove the stone. And then the entrance stone. So roll to this one side. So why did Martha object Jesus' order?
The time Martha cannot believe
Right.
the resurrection
Mhm.
right now. Like,
Right. Martha didn't believe that. She didn't understand, she didn't believe. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. So had she believed, Jesus said, remove the stone, and had she believed, she should expect my brother will rise again. But because she didn't believe, she still was holding on the Jewish eschatology, the end teaching, that this is going to be all the way to the end of the world, resurrection. No, Jesus said, right now. So it shows Martha did not believe Jesus' teaching. Jesus is the resurrection and the life right now. Okay, what did Jesus pray before raising Lazarus?
it says, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you have always heard me, but I said this on account of the people standing around, that they may believe that you sent me.
Right. So this is thanks. I thank you. You have heard my prayer. So when did Jesus pray to raise Lazarus?
before.
Right. Before, maybe during 4 days, Jesus had been praying that he may raise the dead Lazarus. And now, in front of the tomb, is a thanks prayer. Thanks prayer is so powerful. You know, suppose I have something and then I really didn't have a desire to give it, but someone say, "Oh, thank you so much," and then, okay, I give because that person, you know, thanks and expect, then I give. Maybe God's heart is the same. Thank prayer is so powerful. Jesus said, believe. When you ask something, believe you have already received. So when I prepared this Bible study question, all my prayer, I prayed in thanks. Thank you that you will give us this one. Thank you that you will give us. Jesus said, thank you. You have heard my prayer. So it was a thanks prayer. After prayer, what did Jesus shout?
Lazarus, come out.
I don't think so. I don't think he said, Lazarus, come out.
Loud voice.
Yeah, can you really shout like Jesus did? Someone? Yeah.
Lazarus, come out!
No, that's not.
It's nighttime.
Let me try. Let me try. Lazarus, come out!
He's fighting with some power of death.
There is you read some of this message, preachers, message. Because Jesus said, Lazarus come out, only Lazarus came out. But how many dead bodies do you think were in there? Several, or it's a group. The tomb is for group.
Family.
And so if Jesus didn't say Lazarus,
Everyone come out.
yeah. If Jesus didn't say Lazarus, he only said, come out! Then all the dead might have come out. But good thing Jesus said only Lazarus come out. So, okay, fourth question, everybody answer. How long do you think it took for the dead body to become alive? I asked time.
As soon as you listening to Jesus' voice, just
Yeah, like a blinking.
Immediately.
Less than a second. Apostle Paul said, in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye. Okay. Ivy, can you blink your eye? Like this? Yeah, like that. It takes only that time. The rotten body came alive. Less than a second, the dead body became alive. It's impossible medically, scientifically, because it is God's power. It's like, in total darkness. How long does it take time to shine the light, make it bright? Right, it just only turn on the switch. You just turn on the switch and all darkness is gone, and then light fills. because it doesn't take a second. Only flip the switch. Just like that. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. The life came, death just gone in a matter of a second. When the life came. This life came from Jesus. So it doesn't matter how badly decomposed the body is. It doesn't matter. When the life comes, turn on the switch, all the darkness is gone. Death is gone because life came in. Apostle Paul said, this is a mystery. And this is mystery, and this is the power of God to those who believe. Okay, here's the question.
For whose benefit did Jesus raise dead Lazarus?
For whose benefit did Jesus raise dead Lazarus?
People standing around.
Right. Okay, his prayer for them, for their benefit. Thank you that you heard my prayer, and this is for their benefit. So, Martha, Mary, Lazarus, they had the Jewish eschatology, in the resurrection, at the last day. And then, no, Jesus said, I am the resurrection. So, Martha learned Jesus is the resurrection. Mary, Lazarus. And then who else?
Jews.
Yeah, the Jews. The Jews. And then who else?
Disciples.
The disciples. The disciples. Oh, Jesus is the resurrection and the life. Also, when we study today, we learn, we gain faith. Jesus is the resurrection and the life. And then in the beginning, Jesus said, it's for God's glory. And then glory for the God's Son. Jesus revealed his glory. God's glory, Jesus, his glory. Okay, the last question. Who are the eyewitnesses of the resurrection of Lazarus?
All crowded in the spot.
Right. They are eyewitness. Martha, Mary, Lazarus, the Jews, the disciples. And we are not eyewitnesses. And then also, indirectly, the village people. The village people who are not there, but they knew that Lazarus was, died and buried. So the village people. So many witnesses. The Jews thought the dead will rise in the resurrection at the last day. But they have no example. How? Because they have no case. Until now, about their resurrection, they are so vague because nobody, came back to life. Jesus showed 4 times how the dead will be raised. And Jesus has power of resurrection. He showed 4 examples. Jesus is the only one who showed 4 resurrections. Anyway, because since we have resurrection, it really doesn't matter. We live 1 day more, 1 year more, or we die few years earlier or later, really doesn't matter. Because we died yesterday, we will be raised. We will die after 10 years, we'll be raised. It doesn't matter. We die before we raised. We may not die, we live forever. In Jesus, we have a guarantee of resurrection and eternal life. After I studied this, I realized I just became so bold, you know. It doesn't matter. I will be raised. I will live forever. So I became so powerful. I don't know what to do. Okay, we will finish here and we will share and